feeling is here.
Yeah, son, you feel it, man. Word up, son. You gotta just do it, yo. Yo, word up, man. It's a different channel, son. Word up, on, man. Word up, watch the channel, son. Different plane now, man.
It's all good.
Word up, all good, baby, in every hood, son. Word up, yo.
CNN, Network, Channel 10. It's on again. Street niggas is grown men. Bold face, get in your face. Stay in place, yo, crime late. Cast more beef than Scarface.
This call is now being recorded.
Channel 10.
Yo. In the building with the Channel 10 podcast. All in your area. Shout out to all of the subscribers, all of the listeners. We appreciate you. We appreciate that you appreciate us. And you can appreciate us more by going to channel10podcast.com, where we now have articles and other content as well as the podcast. Thanks to Send God in the building. So check out the website. Check out the Rap Evolution of Gucci Mane. Check out some other things that we have that are coming up real soon. Subscribe on iTunes. Subscribe on SoundCloud, Stitcher, all of that. And yeah. I guess the first thing that I want to get into is rest in peace to Chinx, man. It's crazy. Like, I looked on Twitter and I saw that Chinx was a trending topic I'm not sure about worldwide, probably worldwide, but at least in the United States, Chinx was the #1 trending topic. And when I saw that, I knew it couldn't be good. And, you know, the news came out. I just actually read an article that said he got shot 15 times.
Damn.
And his homeboy got shot up, and he's in critical condition right now. And, yeah, man, this one kind of hit me. I don't know about you. You said that you weren't up on Chinx much?
No, not like that. I kind of just heard, little bits and pieces of what happened to him all throughout the week. Pretty much for the past, 2-3 days. How long has it been?
I don't know, man. My days be so long. It has probably been about 3 days. I think it was Sunday. Yeah, man. In fact, I found out Sunday morning. So, yeah, it was like that night into morning when it happened. I think they said that he had just performed at a Brooklyn club and then went to some little hookah lounge or something, and that's when it happened. But
damn, a hookah lounge of all places.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. But I don't know, when I heard that, it just took me back to high school days. I don't know if you remember Riot Squad.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was you had Stack Bundles, you had Chinx Drugz. His name was Chinx Drugz back in the day. You had Bino and maybe a couple of other people, and Stack Bundles was the star out of that group. And I remember my homeboys, this was back in that mixtape era where you had DJ Clue really popping off and all his affiliates. So you had, Fabulous, and you had Joe Budden, and you had the A-Team with Hitchcock and Ransom, and then you had and then you had the Riot Squad, and you had Stack Bundles and all that. So I remember my homeboy used to always play Stack Bundles and Riot Squad, and Stack. He was always cool to me, and, that whole little squad up ad-lib that he had, had to grow on me, and his voice had to grow on me, but, no disrespect, but, he was just kind of cool to me. He had this standout joints, I love that song, that Bundles Hot. Now, you remember that song?
Oh, vaguely.
Yeah, I think I played the mess out of it. I had the Freeway sample, but, whenever I heard their mixtape tracks, Chinx was always the one that stood out to me. And it's, I guess to make an analogy, it's kind of like Lloyd Banks of G-Unit, where you know, like Lloyd Banks is kind of like the lyrical powerhouse, and everybody else just kind of adds different type of flavor to it. You know, Chinx verses always, you know, stood out to me, but I really didn't hear him too much. And I guess come to find out, you know, later is because, you know, he got locked up for 5 years. And so, like, a lot of that Riot Squad stuff he wasn't on. And, you know, just going back and looking through a lot of the mixtapes, like, he wasn't on, like, a lot of their songs. And looking back at some of the interviews, when Stack Bundles got killed, Chinx was in jail. And I always kind of remember them because, you know, every time something happens, like when you have a rap crew and like the leader of it gets killed or something like that, everybody else kind of falls off. But I remember I started seeing Chinx's name, and I was like, oh, you know, that's what's up. You know, this is something that's rare. Like, you never see somebody who, after the leader gets knocked off, they just keep doing their thing. So, and, you know, I remember that I used to like his verses a whole lot, you know, even more than Stack. So, you know, even though sometimes I didn't necessarily listen to the song, every time I saw his name, you know, it just kind of made me happy that, you know, he was still doing his thing even after, you know, Stax died. Because, you know, you look at Junior Mafia after Biggie, you look at, you know, so many different situations like that. That's usually not the case. And then when you look at, you know, French Montana and Max B, where Max B was like the main draw at the time, the bigger artist, and then when he got locked up, people kind of counted French out, and French kept going and, you know, rose to bigger prominence, and, you know, he and Chinx kind of bonded over that, and then they made Coke Boys, and Chinx just started popping. And I think it was when Coke Boys 3 dropped, when he had that song, I'm a Coke Boy, produced by Harry Fraud, and I listened to that. And I did listen to a couple of his joints here and there, and I was like, this ain't the same Chinx, because it sounds like he's trying to, like, kind of adopt a South-type flow where, you know, back in Riot Squad, it was more traditional New York lyrical type stuff. But when I heard I'm a Coke Boy, and it was like they flipped the whole NWA type thing with that mixtape, and then Chinx is like he kind of perfected that kind of flow that I didn't like at first, but it was over those New York drums that Harry Fraud had, and like when I heard it, I was like, oh man, this joint is like rocking right here. So ever since then, you know, I was, you know, whenever I saw Chinx, you know, I would check for the record, and I was like, damn, you know, that's what's up. Like, you know, he made it through all that adversity of, you know, the leader of his crew being killed, him going to jail, and he's still doing this thing. So, you know, I was like, damn, like he was, you know, part of the new New York sound of bringing that whole New York back. So, you know, I definitely was, you know, messing with him because, like, a lot of his songs, you know, they weren't necessarily the most lyrical type of songs, but they made you feel good. So then, you know, Coke Boys or whatever, they had their situation with, or like French Montana, you know, they got signed with Bad Boy and Maybach Music Group, and then that Coke Boys song got remixed, and it had Diddy and Rick Ross on it, and I was like, wow, like, this dude came from a no-name on the mixtapes when I was in high school, all these years later is doing stuff with, like, the biggest people in the game, and I'm like, that's what's up. And, like, even recently, I've been riding around to that single that he had out a little while ago, Give a Fuck About Your Feelings. I don't know if you remember that.
Mm-hmm.
But, so all of that together, you know, just me kind of, you know, just keeping track of his rise throughout the years to see that he was gunned down like that, you know, it kind of hit me because it's like, damn, like, this is a dude who really shows that, you know, no matter what happens, you can do it. And then he just gets killed just like the leader of his old group. And then I look back at a picture, it was a stack bundles, and he had like some dusty cornrows and his middle finger up, and he had a free Chinx t-shirt on. His Chinx was locked up, and it's like, damn, now they both gone, and it's just like, damn, you know.
Yeah. I remember, you know, way back in, I guess at this point was like the mid 2000s, and I think they had like a section in one Smack DVD dedicated to Riot Squad.
Yeah.
And I think that's how I got kind of acquainted with them. But I do remember when Stack, I know DJ Clue, he was on it quite a bit with Fabulous, and I know Stack Bundles where he would pop up here and there. And then sometimes at certain instances it would like cut to like the whole entire Riot Squad, and then they would pop out with a song.
I remember that.
Yeah, somehow, some way. But yeah, you know, I really never paid too much attention to him, or to any of the Riot Squad for real. Maybe Stacks like a little bit, because you kind of had to at one point on the Smack DVDs, because Clue was really pushing him, and Fabulous to a certain extent. But I do remember when you would you mentioned Chinx Drugz quite a bit. I never really fell in line, but I became a bit more acquainted with both of them when Max B came to prominence. As you know, come to think about it, I mean, it makes a lot of sense why you like them, because I mean, you know, Stacks and Chinx and Max B, they're kind of like all within that same line.
Yeah, lineage.
Yeah, that lineage of New York cocaine music and dusty cornrows. But I think, you know, some of like the $1 Million Baby mixtapes, I think Chinx Drugz is on a couple of those songs. I think. I know he had a lot of Stacks on some of those mixtapes though, quite a bit, like toward the end of like damn near all his mixtapes.
Yeah, because you remember when Bird Gang formed, when Chinx was like locked up, you know, Jim Jones got Stacks and he got Max B, and then, you know, Stacks got killed and then Max B left. But Chinx, I was watching some old interview, and I think Chinx said that Jim Jones was trying to get him too, and then, you know, when he got out, you know, after Stacks got killed, he was around, you know, just because of the relationship with Stacks, he was around Max B and French Montana a lot, and then once Max B got locked up, he and French Montana just had this whole attitude of, yo, we gotta keep going. And like, I think that whole thing about both of them, you know, even though I don't necessarily like all of their music, it's something that really impressed me about them. And it's crazy because, like, I was just watching this video that damn, I can't remember the name of the DJ, but I think DJ Bobby Trends, he just dropped it. It was Chinx and Vado, and they were going over the deep cover beat, kind of like how Fat Joe and Big Pun did it, and that shit was just ill. And I was like, damn, like, this dude really had a lot of potential. That and you know, he really could have done something. And I do think that he was. I believe they said he was writing for French a little bit. So I don't know, like that whole sound that he cultivated. Like, that whole type of flow. You know how, like, Coke Boys and Fresh Montana, they got their own type of flow and everything like that. Like, I really think they were building something that, you know, didn't get to see its full potential. But, like, going back and listening to it, though, I'm kind of conflicted because, you know, he got shot up and killed, and it's like, yo, you know, you are part of the Coke Boys. And, you know, that mixtape was called NWC, Niggas with the Coke.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of gun talk and ratchetry going on in the music. And I guess it's one of those things of, you know, what you live by is what you die by. And it's the same thing with Stacks. And it's just like, damn, I mean, you know, he was cleaning up a little bit. You know, he dropped the drugs from his name, so he wasn't Chinx Drugz. He was just Chinx. And, you know, he had his wife and all that. I think there's a controversy now because apparently, you know, there were pictures of him and Khloe Kardashian's best friend, and apparently that was like his girlfriend, and she was all upset too. And then apparently he used to mess with Erica Mena before, and so she said something about how it was disrespectful for the girlfriend to be, you know, talking when it should be about the wife and the family, because he had 3 kids with the wife. And people were coming at Erica Mena like, you know, you were in the same situation with him, so, you know, how can you talk? So that's kind of interesting, but that just lets me know that, you know, he really has started to ascend into those higher echelon Illuminati type circles, to where, you know, he probably would have at least been on a reality show or something soon, you know, and been a household name. Yeah,
you know, it's kind of crazy that we're to the point now with all this love and hip hop type shit that we have to start mentioning their names.
Yeah, because like, you know, we're having this conversation right now, but a lot of people don't know like who Chinx is. And it's like when you start to connect them with these names that are on these reality shows, it's like, oh, now there's somebody. Like, never mind what you remember from high school like 10 years ago, 10, 11 years ago. Once you connect them with this name, now all of a sudden they're important.
Right. But, I mean, it's kind of, matter of fact, you know what, I think, this is well, it all relates, but just how I told you that one time, or I mentioned on like a previous episode where I just walked past the TV and I saw Saigon and Peter Guns.
Mm-hmm.
One time I was eating, my mother just turned on Keeping Up with the Kardashians, and I see French Montana in the club hooked up with the one that Lamar used to be with or whatever.
Khloe.
Yeah, Khloe Kardashian. And I'm pretty sure I saw Chinx Drugz in the background at a club.
Yeah, like I was looking at something. Apparently, when they all got together, they called themselves the Wolf Pack. So, you know, TMZ and all the gossip sites or media takeout or whatever, you know, they're taking this all and running with it, you know, according to that angle. And apparently they all used to hang out real tough, so.
Okay, of course.
So, yeah, he was moving in them circles. It wasn't like, you know, he was one of these dudes who just out with a buzz and, you know, was going to fizzle out at some point.
I mean, yeah, and, you know, you mentioned the New York, and just how I guess I asked you about mumblecore, I think in the previous episode. Is this also like a new term that's been like going around?
I mean, it's like, I think it really started with True Life. Remember that New York mixtape he had, and he had that joint that was produced by Ninth Wonder?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was the beginning of it, but I guess now, when you think of the New York, you think of this new cast of characters, like, and it's kind of crazy because, you know, it ranges from a Joey Badass and an Action Bronson to a Chinx Drugz and a French Montana, or like a Bobby Shmurda, you know, just all the resurgence of New York hip-hop that's going on, and, you know, they're actually getting played a little bit, and, you know, people are starting to know about them because, you know, for a long time, the only New York rapper that you had was Nicki Minaj.
Well, when I think of New York, I think of like, I guess more of a distinct sound. And I was thinking about it, and maybe you could probably even go back and like kind of argue that a lot of this started with Dipset in a way, because a lot of these people that that were mentioning, they had some type of weird, some type of weird affiliation with them or something like that.
Yeah. When you track their lineage back and everything like that, I don't know. I guess like everything goes in cycles and waves. Like I would say that Dipset was the end of the old New York, because kind of after G-Unit and Dipset, well, really it was kind of G-Unit that kind of killed it. A lot of people credit 50 Cent with single-handedly destroying New York hip-hop. But pretty much after him, that's when the South, had its rise around like 2005. And, they've had a grip on it pretty much ever since. And then now you have some guys who are, coming up, maybe they do some songs and stuff. But like, I guess, when you think of the New York, like how you said, a particular sound, I think even though you have all these different artists with all these various sounds, they still incorporate some sort of traditional New York hip-hop into it. Like, of course, Joey Badass and Action Bronson, they're like, not straight boom bap with Action Bronson, but, they are more on the boom bappy type side. But even like a Chinx or like a French, they eat, even though they kind of lean Southern, a lot of their joints, especially when Harry Fraud is producing them, they still have that New York kind of boom bap. So even like an A$AP Rocky or whatever, it still has that kind of New York boom bap, that kick drum that's going to crack in the headphones.
Right.
And like, I guess, when you think about French Montana, and he had that, what was that song that he had, with that sample, and they had like a million different remixes to it. It kind of had that same Coke Boys type, I can't think of the song right now, but it was like the song that kind of solidified French as a solo artist to me. But I think all of them, even though they might, maybe lean south a little bit, they still have that sound and can still be considered, New York.
Yeah. Well, I think with the New York, I don't really equate it with beats per se. I think if anything, I would say it's more of like their flow. And if you think of, because it's something about like the South, they have like that particular flow, and even like the South, they're coming out with new different talents. So you have your Jay Electronicas, although he's pretty much East Coast though, for real. Yeah. And you have people like what's his name? The guy who makes all the beats and he raps and all this stuff is like really relaxing. I can't think of his name right now.
Who makes all the beats and he raps? You're talking about
real nice, relaxed vibe, nice beats.
From the South?
Yeah, he was randomly on 106 & Park.
Oh, Big Crit.
Yeah, Big Crit. And you go from that, and then you even have like people like Tree. I think Tree is from the South. No, he's from Chicago actually. Never mind. But like with like the types of flows from the New York. So you have Max B and his flow, and with this mix of I guess like that Dipset sound, but still with that wave, whatever the wave is, we just had it. And then you have people like Rock Marciano. He has like kind of like a distinct type of flow, laid back. That's kind of, as you ask me, it's kind of it harkens back to Buckshot on the I Got You Open remix.
Yeah.
In a way. So I think if I had to say that, I would say more with the flow. But then with the G Unit, I don't really count G Unit. I don't know. It's something about G Unit. I mean, it was New York, but I really it was its own thing to a certain extent. And I really think that 50 Cent kind of single-handedly destroyed hip hop. Because you think about it, to a certain extent, his album was like after his album, there weren't really like any rap albums that really even made it close to a certain extent, other than Eminem. But then we really want to call Eminem true hip hop.
Oh man, that's a whole nother discussion. But of course, you got to call Eminem true hip hop.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you know what I mean. just the quirkiness of all this shit.
I mean, who's more quirky, Eminem or what's his name, Dr. Octagon?
Okay, yeah, but I mean from a commercial standpoint.
Okay. I mean, Eminem, even though he had those quirky type records, he had bars, he was spitting, and then he had very serious records at the same time. So I can't say Eminem isn't real hip hop, but I see what you're saying about 50 Cent. And what's interesting about what you're saying about 50 Cent is I believe they made a conscious effort with a lot of 50 Cent records and G-Unit records to make it not, I guess, coast ambiguous. And I remember that song. Remember the song "The Realest Niggas" with 50 Cent and Big?
Yeah.
And there was, I remember I was watching or reading an interview with somebody, and they were like, they purposely made the beat so that somebody from any type of area could kind of vibe with it, and they didn't want it to kind of lean either way. And so yeah, and with his album too, because 50 Cent, he was like, he had to go sign with people out on the West Coast in order to make it. So, he had that Dr. Dre and everything, that influence. And it wasn't, he wasn't really around too many New York people when he was making it. So, yeah, I guess his sound was kind of regionally ambiguous. And aside from the beefing and stuff, that may have killed it as well. But I think that, I guess in defense of him, and this is something that he said recently, he was basically like, yo, after I got shot up, none of y'all niggas wanted to deal with me. So, F all y'all. I'm not messing with y'all. And so he went and did his thing elsewhere, just because y'all don't want to deal with me in New York, the place where I'm from, that's not going to stop me. So I kind of, admire him for, taking that step.
Yeah. Yeah, man, like, I mean, because, I kind of just, like, thought about this, just how G-Unit was, and I don't think anyone was expecting In the Club and the way it sounded. Because, like,
I still don't get that song because I don't really like it. Like, from the first time I heard it to now, it just sounds like a regular basic song that anybody could have made.
Well, I don't really think that's true. But I think the thing about In the Club is the way like the actual sound of it. So like, you have the strings, and we're talking about 2001, right? 2003. So we're still kind of in the weird period, like kind of Nelly, Dilemma, these really cheesy ass beats and whatnot made on the Triton.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not sure how that was made, but knowing how Dr. Dre is, the strings don't really, they sound, it was just a really big booming beat from the strings that were kind of rich to a certain extent down to the drums. And it just really sounded like, it sounded like, I feel like the beat alone from in the club just made 50 Cent seem like he was something invincible and like he was just like the second coming of Jesus or some type of shit.
And you know what? I kind of agree with you there because, like, I don't like the beat, but I can appreciate the beat because, like, when you really sit down and listen to that beat and you start to hear things in it, like, just like when the strings hit on the kick drum and the stereo separation of the strings and how you feel like you're inside of it, kind of. And then there's that little muted guitar part that goes on sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like little details like that. Like, even though the beat is kind of empty, there's like these little details that, especially coming out of that early 2000s mixtapes scene, nobody had that going on. Like, and then if you want to compare, like a Dipset to a G-Unit, like, or really anybody else, like, nobody's sound was that crispy. And like, if you played the songs back to back in the club, you know, that bass isn't going to hit you the same way as it is with you. Or it's not going to hit you with other people the same way that it is with 50 Cent and G-Unit. Even on some of that mixtape songs, like that G-Unit mixtape God's Plan, like the way that was mixed down, it was so clear versus like a Dipset Volume 4 or something like that.
Yeah. You know, like, okay, so all right, so we had 50 Cent in 2003. Purple Haze came out 2005, right?
Did it?
Was 2006? Oh no, because we just had the 10th anniversary, so it has to be 2005.
Right.
And when he came out, and I don't know, maybe it's probably a coincidence, but I just kind of thinking about it. You know, they were still kind of in the middle. It was still pretty heated, you know, the battle between, you know, 50 and Cameron at that time.
Yeah.
And you know, how he comes out. He comes out with this epic sounding kind of beat that, to a certain extent, sounded kind of different, you know, than, I guess, your usual Cameron Dipset type song. And the only other song that I can kind of think of with that type of, like, epicness to that beat is a random song that had Jewels and, someone else on it from the Green Lantern, Alive on Arrival Part 2 or Part 3.
Yeah.
You remember that one?
Yep.
And because I always try to go back, and I can't really, because, you know, I can't even, like, the Diplomatic Immunities, Dipset Christmas, I really can't think of another beat that kind of sounded like that. And actually, it was a bit richer than a lot of other Dipset beats to a certain extent, too, I think.
Oh, what song are you talking about from Cameron?
Oh shit, I know you said it. Get 'em Girls.
Yeah, Get 'em Girls. But even that was still kind of muddy. Like I think a lot of those songs that Cam did, they were real epic and orchestral and everything. But, you know, when you played them in certain things, it sounded kind of jumbled. Like, I think the song that was most epic to me, was this song on this album? I don't even know if it was on this album. The one, oh yeah, Down and Out. Cause like that song, it had the sample, it had like the same type of thing going on, but something about it was more clear and it banged more.
Well, it was a Kanye beat.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's one of the best beats in hip-hop. And it's interesting because I was just listening to Stack Bundles and Chinx. They got a freestyle over that beat. And
I mean, well, that's right.
And that joint, Shake, off that album, they had that too. But yeah, Get 'Em Girl. Yeah, it's like Cameron was trying to go for that orchestral type of thing, but it's like he didn't have Dr. Dre production behind him.
I think it was that, and probably, that's obviously a sample, so of course, limitations when it comes to the engineering. Because I wouldn't be surprised if Cameron was actually kind of thinking, because it was he was coming back out too. It was supposed to be a second coming at Cameron to a certain extent.
Yeah.
And this is after what? This is right after Come Home With Me.
Yep.
Yeah, so of course, so he had to come out, kind of big, and so maybe he kind of took a page from 50 Cent's playbook.
Yeah,
even though if he did have Dre would have had opera singers in there, string.
Another big sounding Dipset record though was you remember Get Crunk Music?
Oh yeah, that's right, yeah.
I think that was off of one of those Duke to God albums, and I think I may have told this story on the podcast before, but I love that song, but it was so funny because right before I heard the song, I remember I was chilling with some people, and I was kind of making fun of Cameron verses, and I was like, yo, I wouldn't be surprised if he's on the track like the Rudy Pooty Doody Moody or something like that, and he basically did that. Like whatever I was making fun of him for, he did that on that song, and he made it sound hard. I think he said the Rudy Pooty Doody Moody, what we usually do. I was like, okay, well, get them computers putin'.
I think Cameron, he's pretty overlooked as a lyricist because there aren't too many people who can kind of pull that stuff off.
Yeah, going back and listening to him, like even going back and listening to Come Home With Me, because I went back and listened to it again fairly recently. He had one of those lyrical styles that was, often imitated, never duplicated, and definitely slightly ahead of his time, I would say. Like, he really brought something to the game with the way that he raps. And when you look at his evolution as a rapper, when you listen to, it's funny because, like, after that Lord Finesse interview with Combat Jack, I went back and listened to Lord Finesse, and I hear I hear that same type of Big L type of rap style in Lord Finesse. And then when you go back and listen to Children of the Corn, which is the group with Big L, Cameron, Mace McGruff, and Mace, they all had that kind of style. And then, Cameron grew from there and developed into what he became.
Yeah. I was never a big fan of Come Home With Me, but I always and this, mind you, this is, I haven't listened to the album in almost 10 years at this point. And I think, because whenever I think about that album, like certain songs that I kind of remember off the top of my head, it was an album of its time. And I think compared to like a Purple Haze, it's a pretty timeless album. Even Killer Season to a certain extent.
I think it's definitely more memorable, throughout the years. I think one of the only songs that you can just remember off top from Come Home With Me, let me just see what was on there, because one thing with Cameron is sometimes I get confused about which song is on which album, but Welcome to New York City, because I had Jay-Z on it. That's right, yeah, Hey Ma, Boy, and he had Oh Boy.
I forgot about Boy.
Yeah, I thought that song was like the dumbest thing in the world. But like, besides that, you can't really think of like all these other songs. I really don't remember them. Like I'm looking at the titles and I don't remember what they sound like.
I mean, well, I think Old Boy was even kind of a song of its time in a way, but you know, it's one of those songs that will always be. I mean, just because a song, you know, I think a lot of people kind of get confused. You know, just because a song is of its time doesn't mean it's not good.
Yeah. And sometimes, you know, what's interesting about sometimes songs of their time is that music purists might hate on a song that's a song of its time, but then venerate the song later on.
Oh, that's very true. Yeah.
And like for instance, all that old Bad Boy shit, all that shiny suit era shit, and you know the staunch hip hop heads were just hating on all of it. But when you go back, you kind of have nostalgic memories for a lot of that stuff.
I mean, based on like Combat Jack. I mean, even Walnut seen to a certain extent, but it seems like Rosenberg is still kind of, you know, he's still pretty rigid.
Yeah.
You know, I try to I try to sit back and think about it. You know, I remember like, you know, watching Hypnotize and stuff like that on the radio. I mean, on the TV and shit on the box.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like even like with Mace though.
I was just thinking about Mace.
Like the one thing, and I don't know, maybe it's because I had the single, but you know, 24 Hours to Live, man, and that's what.
Oh no, that was an amazing record to this day. Like, that was a song that I think doesn't get its props now, but I mean, just the lineup that you had on there and so many memorable lines, and then DMX coming and finishing it off, but like, even Styles P, if I had 24 hours to kick the bucket, I'll probably eat some fried chicken and drink a Nantucket. And you know what's crazy is I was just thinking about that song earlier when we talk about rappers and their progression. And he's talking about eating some fried chicken and drinking a Nantucket. And now he's a vegan who works out in the street and has, I think he worked out with the bartenders and stuff and got himself together. And now he owns juice bars.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
But yeah, man, 24 Hours to Live, man, that was a great song. But like when I think of Mace, I think of Don't Push Me 'Cause I'm Close to the Edge. Remember when they redid that?
Yeah.
Yeah, like that shit was like so horrible and corny, at least to me at the time. But you know, going back, you know, you kind of remember those things with fondness. And another song that people have brought up with that is the Vanilla Ice joint, Ice Ice Baby.
I mean, I don't know. I can't go with that song. I tried. I just can't do it.
I mean, for a commercial type record, I like the beat.
I mean, well, you know, I will say that the beat is better than the actual sample.
Yeah.
But sometimes.
I was gonna say, but one thing that people don't really go back to is MC Hammer.
Yeah, I haven't.
I've been meaning to.
I mean, I'm curious to go back and listen to like that one or two albums when he was around Tupac.
Yeah, I'm curious too.
Yeah, I wonder how that'll be. I wonder if he, like, whenever he does interviews, he ever talks about like Pac deeply, since you know MC Hammer is one of those you know, pastors or whatever he does now. Yeah,
I was about to say, like, you know, he's a born again Christian and, you know, fighting Jay-Z and the Illuminati.
I mean, yeah, but you gotta talk about Hammer though. I mean, he was one of the first, you know, commercial rappers to a certain extent.
I mean, he did it big.
Yeah.
He did, I guess when you think about Big Daddy Kane going commercial and how it didn't work for him because, you know, he came out a certain way and then changed up, you know, from my understanding, because I'm not deep on the history of MC Hammer, but You said what?
I said that even sounds funny, not deep on the history of MC Hammer.
I mean, just saying that sentence, most of what I know from him is from the hook of the Rick Ross song.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But, from my understanding, he pretty much came out the way he was. And so, it was accepted by who it was accepted by because that was what he always was. Whereas, Big Daddy Kane was coming out with some 5% type stuff, and that changed up real quick.
Yeah, but, I mean, based on the Combat Jack interview, I think, didn't he say that he did have success actually off of, that album, that chocolate shit, whatever he was doing?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he had success off of the album, but it's like, I guess it's like what the dude Tax Tone said on Twitter the other day, which he said Ja Rule sold way more records than Fabulous, but I bet Ja Rule would love to have Fabulous' career right now.
I think if Ja Rule, if he really tried, this is a whole different thing. That's a whole different story because we know why Ja Rule isn't perhaps the primary reason. It's not because of the music so much. It's because 50 Cent destroyed him, like how you destroyed hip hop.
You know what? I kind of disagree.
Okay.
And I've heard this point of view before, but even before 50 Cent, the change from Veni Vidi Vici to whatever his second album was it Rule 336 or something like that?
Yeah.
Change was so drastic that he was already on his decline in the minds of the real, quote unquote, real hip hop heads. And 50 Cent just kind of exposed that,
I mean, yeah, but then remember, Ja Rule clapped back.
But that was too late. He should have clapped back way before.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I recall it, I recall it getting to I think number 5 or number 4 on 106 Park.
Man, that's 106 in Park. That's not TRL.
I think that the thing about Ja Rule is that because, he sold that 316 shit, sold way more than Veni Vidi Vici, if I recall. But the flow that he had is kind of coming back in style. So all he needs to do is get, I guess like a Mike Will Made It type beat and just do some mumblecore.
Go some auto-tune. I wonder what Ja Rule would sound like with auto-tune.
I mean, he probably wouldn't sound all that bad. I mean, because it seems like he has a lot of years of harmonizing compared to some of these people that will remain unnamed.
Yeah.
So maybe he could probably actually use it to his advantage. And Ashanti, I think Ashanti just kind of died out between not being Nelly's girl and Lloyd Banks just getting on her about her sideburns on his classic mixtapes.
Oh yeah. Oh man, I just thought, random thought, 50 Cent is dropping a new single tomorrow on Power 106. No, I mean my bad, Power 105.
Well, have you realized that his album, his album has yet to come out, and it's been almost 10 years, kind of sort of.
You talking about the Street King Immortal?
Yeah, but then wasn't it something is that the album that's supposed to be real ahead of its time, that was supposed to have AO technology on it?
I don't know.
Remember that one album that he kept talking about? It's going to be high tech and all this other type of shit, and it has yet to come out.
I don't know. I mean, maybe he scrapped it. I remember Jay-Z said the same thing. And some song that he had with Timberland leaked out from it, but that album never came out too.
Hey, was that on the same thing that when the same album where he the song with that he had with Daft Punk came out?
Talking about Jay-Z?
You remember the Jay-Z and Daft Punk album? I mean, not album, song that randomly leaked?
I think so. It probably was that same one, because it was some Jay-Z song that everybody said was real whack, and I thought it was real whack at first, but then going back and listening to it, it wasn't that bad. It just wasn't something that you really want to hear from Jay-Z.
Well, shit, the quality was really bad, though. Yeah. Because usually, when you get like a throwaway Jay-Z track, you still bump it in the club like Jock and Jay-Z.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that was intentional though. He knew damn well he just threw that out because he knew it was a Kanye beat and people will probably it would get played in New York, and it still kind of became. I mean, because actually, did he do that during the B-Sides concert? No, he didn't actually. I don't think. Okay. And see, and that's the thing, because if I think of like a B-side of Jay-Z's, I count Jock and Jay-Z as actually one of the singles. Well, yeah, I think he did put it out as a single. But it was like a free single, though. Oh, yeah. I mean, I think he put it out as like a promo record to see, you know how like sometimes artists put out those songs that are supposed to be for the album and they never end up on there? Yeah, but then they still throw it out. Yeah, because like Jay-Z actually has a lot of those songs now I'm thinking about it, because like, I think after the Blueprint 3, I have like this whole other folder of songs that came out around the same time that came out, and Jock and Jay-Z was one of them, and then I'm not sure if it was for this album or another one, but he had this one song, I Hear the People Talk. Remember the song? Vaguely. And he was like kind of dissing Prodigy on it. And then he had a couple other joints, and then the songs that ended up on soundtracks and stuff like that, like the joint that he had, the Brooklyn record with Santi Gold. Oh yeah, and don't forget about the one that randomly, because Fabulous's album, that was pretty much all of Jay-Z's album damn near. Oh yeah, that's right. When the Money Goes. Yeah. Yeah, that song was hard. Now, because Jay-Z had 2 verses on there, right? But then I think his chorus was only on the Fabulous version, right? Or did he have a verse on that too? I think it was. I want to say that it was just that he was on the hook. If he was even on the hook, was he on the hook on that? I mean, I think he was. That's either either that or Fabulous said his chorus or something like that. Yeah, I think Fabulous might have said his chorus. Okay. But like, that reminds me, you remember that song with Jay-Z and Slim Thug that never came out? Vaguely. And I think on the one that actually came out, it was Bun B on there. And the one with Jay-Z is so hard to find. That it was produced by the Neptunes, and it was like, I don't take them out to eat. I don't buy them. Oh yeah, I ain't heard of that. Yeah, that song. That was on the same album as Wham Wham. Nah, Wham Wham was on the Clips album. It was? Yeah. That was on Hell Hath No Fury, and Slim Thug was just on the hook, I believe, on there. Oh, that's right, it was. But I think that was on the same album as Click Clack. Because I know Slim Thug, he had like a similar song that had like the same type of verse on it. I mean, chorus on it. I want to say it was Click Clack. Okay. And it had like a Neptunes, because Slim Thug had that whole album that was produced by Neptunes, because he was on Star Trek, which kind of didn't really fit him, but some of the joints were kind of hard. Yeah, I mean, if you can have Roscoe P. Cold Chain on your label, then why not Slim Thug?
That's true.
But I think we've had like this conversation like years ago. I think I've asked you, is there a difference between Wham Wham and Womp Womp?
I don't think so. I think somebody might have just labeled the file wrong. Unless somebody else out there has a song called Womp Womp.
Yeah, you remember Theme?
That's what I said. Oh, I was about to say Mystical.
Yeah, it was the same shit. Womp 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 Womp.
Yeah. Damn, that is. I forgot all about Fiend.
Man, I've been meaning to listen to one of his mixtapes because he killed it on the Currency and Alchemist album.
Damn, I still got to listen to that. I think I skimmed through the instrumentals to it. I don't know. It's just hard for me to listen to Currency. Like, I just feel like I'm going to fall asleep.
Man, I listened to I think is it Pilot Talk? No, it can't be Pilot Talk. It's one of those things. Do you know the song 360 with him and Juicy J?
Nah.
I think you would like that, but it's a really laid back beat. You may you may want to fall asleep, but it was like a really good, solid mixtape or album or whatever it was. I don't know what it's like because he comes over with all types of crazy shit every other month, it seems.
I know he and Wiz are supposed to be doing something again.
And I feel like they do something every year, it seems.
I feel like they haven't done anything in a long time. I remember they had like this one little halfway type project type thing with just these random songs that was kind of alright. But I don't know. I can't really get with Wiz either.
Have you listened to Snoop Dogg's new album?
I have not heard one song off that album.
Me neither. I saw a so-called leak version on YouTube. I clicked it though, but it was like nothing but a whole bunch of like old Snoop Dogg songs. So I don't know if that was, I guess, a new version of getting rickrolled or what.
Snoop Dogg's album. I saw it on Spotify, and I was been meaning to click it, but I don't know. I gotta be in the mood for that.
I mean, it seems like because it seems like it's been getting like some pretty bad reviews, and I wonder if this will go down as like those all around produced Pharrell albums that everyone kind of just puts to the side and just never talk about as if never made it. Kind of like the one he did with Common. What's it called? Universal Mind Control.
Oh man, I forgot all about that album. I keep forgetting the album exists. Like,
but see, that's the thing. They did like a pretty big rollout of that album, and they had the single part. He was on 106 and Park.
Matter of fact, he was on an Apple commercial, I think, with that song.
Yeah, like it didn't sell shit. No one ever talks about this album because
what's crazy is like one day in the past couple of months, I went through like Common's whole discography, like just to go back to all his old stuff and listen through it, and I just didn't include that album.
Well, see, that's the thing. I mean, in my Common discography, I have Universal Mind Control. I mean, it's an interesting album because he's for the first time Common tries to get kind of abstract with it, but other than that, he's like this worldly conscious dude.
I mean, well, I wouldn't say for the first time because like the way we feel about Universal Mind Control, also people include that other album that he did. The one. Electric Circus.
Well, yeah, that was a pretty spacey album. I mean, That's his best. That's his best. Well, to me, it is. I know you think it's B.
I mean, it's a combination of B and Find It Forever, and what's dope about B and Find It Forever is that they both fit on one CD. So I just play those two albums as if they're one album.
Well, see, I keep forgetting about Find It Forever because sometimes I have to really think about Common sometimes, and it's just his whole track record for me to actually remember that I like him. Because if you think of, because one time back some years ago, I got his whole discography. I think up to this point, I think Universal Mind Control was the last one at this point, and I listened to all of them, and especially now. That's a whole entire day, pretty much, because Can I Borrow $1 is rather long. But yeah, Can I Borrow $1? Find It Forever. I forgot all about Find It Forever and Electric Circus.
And don't forget, of course, there's Resurrection, and then there's the one that came out after that.
So the one, Nobody Smiling.
Oh man, I forgot all about that. That came out last year.
Yeah, but the beats on there are really good, but I don't like the album.
I mean, another one that people forget about is the one that came out before Nobody Smiling.
Is that fun with Nas on it?
Yeah. We had the song Ghetto Dreams.
Okay, because I thought Resurrection. Oh, what the fuck is Resurrection? I've never heard that album in my life.
Resurrection is the one that had I Used to Love Her on there.
Oh, you talking about back in the day?
Yeah.
Man, you should just call that album I Used to Love Her at this point. I don't think Brown Sugar helped with Common's legacy.
I don't think anything Common is doing now is helping with his legacy.
What is he doing?
He said something stupid the other day, like a little while ago. Or I'm not gonna say something stupid, but he said something about how he just sounded like some old Republican white man. Basically, what he said was construed as black people just need to get over everything and just link up with white people, and it was very, mainstream Martin Luther King-y. And so he caught a lot of backlash from, or should I say blacklash from Black Twitter.
Man, he doesn't give a shit. He won an Oscar.
And I'm sure he's won a Grammy at this point. At least he's nominated.
I don't know. I mean, I think Nas has won a Grammy by now. But I'm pretty sure, yeah.
I don't know if Nas won a Grammy yet.
I mean, it's funny to think that, and I think this is kind of random compared to a lot of other people, that Method Man has won a Grammy.
Yeah, out of the pantheon of 90s hip hop that people actually bang with.
Yeah.
Method Man got a Grammy, and just when you look, I forget what the list is, but when you look at all the artists, all the hip hop artists who won a Grammy, and how I guess non-credible they are.
Yeah.
But at least he got his little bit of shine. I know there's some controversy. Did Iggy Azalea win Rap Artist of the Year at BET Awards or something?
I'm not entirely sure.
It's something that's going on about Iggy Azalea and the BET Awards or BET Hip Hop Awards or something like that. And, people are up in arms.
Of course.
But I think the guy, what's his name, who started BET, apparently he's supposed to be starting some new network. that has something to do with black people. It's probably just going to be a bunch of buffoonery, but who knows? Maybe it won't.
I mean, well, I think this is the perfect time to come out with, like, an Afrocentric channel to see if it can actually work.
Oh, man. The Fox News will have a field day with that one.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, you have, Kendrick Lamar being sworn into the state senate, and he does like a little speech that I didn't listen to.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm kind of afraid. I'm afraid of where he's going. I feel like he's going to become one of those, and based on we've already had this conversation. Based on that nigga shit, I think he's going to start preaching. No, he has hair now.
I think that the people that are around him won't allow him to do that.
We'll see.
But there's when you think about preaching, right? Sometimes you just have some information that you just have to get out to the people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how could he have done that and not been preaching? Because I think that he wasn't really, it was preaching when, I guess it was kind of preaching, like he was actually preaching on the album when they got into the fight, and he was like really preaching to them about why they shouldn't be doing what they're doing. But then he got into the verse and broke it down in a non-preachy kind of way.
But he broke the verse down as he was still in the same monologue of preaching, and with the same preaching monologue, he decided that the shit is so good and people need to hear that he decided to break his verse down. He couldn't creatively break it down within the verse, but then I think he did it anyway toward the end. He said, I'm not a nigga no more. I'm a niggas or whatever he says.
He said, he's the realest niggas alive.
Okay, well then, I know he can't. He has to do something.
So, if he would have spit that same verse to a beat on the song, would it have not been preaching?
Okay, maybe if he did it as spoken word, or something like that.
But I don't know, spoken word. When you're doing some spoken word about some black stuff,
niggas won't hear that shit.
Yeah, and it just connotates preaching. No matter what you do, it's preaching.
Well, yeah, that's a really good point because when you on Two Dope Boys or nowadays on the hip hop blogs, you'll see a random chick, and then at the bottom they'll say this is what's good right now. We need this out here right now, something like that. And then it's a music video, and you see an Afrocentric chick or a guy walking throughout the streets of New York or some shit, and then it's black and white, and then next thing you know, it's some shit about it just starts off I love my black people or some shit like that. Because it was some song. I tried to get through it. It was 3.5 minutes long. I couldn't take it. It was so fucking corny. I thought a Carol's Daughter ad was about to come on or something.
But what about Brown Skin Lady by Black Star?
I believe I did say that I do like that song.
Yeah, but just the way it comes on with that skit in the beginning, it's one of those real preachy songs that when you run into a late 30s, early 40s, like that, they always bring that song up. Like the type of dude that's going to preach to you is the type of dude who listens to that song at least once a week.
Yeah, and I hate people like that. But see, I think the thing is though, like I've never really experienced that. Like you're the only other person on the earth right now that I've ever had a conversation about brown skin about that song.
Oh man.
But I mean, I don't know. I think it was still done a bit differently, because I think again, like I think it really danced along the line between being corny and not corny, kind of like how J. Rue's "Can't Stop the Prophet" did. Yeah.
Or like, what about man? It's just like all these different songs that are coming to my head, like right now. Like when you think about India Arie.
Yes, I was never a big fan of her. Anyway, I would say that Jill Scott is probably a less corny version of her to a certain extent. I mean, she's talented though. I mean, like even like Esperanza Spalding, and the album she came out with after her breakout album that ended up getting her a Grammy. The first single was called Black Gold.
Oh yeah.
And it was a festival with nothing but a whole bunch of people with afros, and she had like some type of other jazz singer with her, and they just looked all happy, clanging on their piano keys and their strings and guitars and whatnot, just talking about black gold. That's what we are. And shit. That was fun. But then sometimes you just gotta, go away from that. Cause that's the thing, I mean, cause that is the commercial form of Afrocentric music. It just is,
But I mean, like, is it better to have that than nothing?
I mean, hey man, it's the same thing with your trap music and your drill music. It's just for a certain audience. And I don't know. I think sometimes stuff like that drives me just as crazy as some of the other things I complain about on the radio now.
I guess going back to Common, I don't know if you remember his performance at the Grammys with John Legend. For his song that he did about Selma and all that, or for the soundtrack, and you had some famous white people in the audience, like shedding tears and stuff.
Oh, God.
I mean, it was very, I mean, that's, if you want to be Afrocentric for the mainstream, you gotta do that.
I mean, yeah, but then the thing is, who's going to remember that song 5 years from now?
Yeah, I was listening to some podcast and somebody was saying like, it's a good song. I really like it, but I'm not gonna bump that song.
I mean, it's the same thing with 3 6 Mafia. Who really cares about the Hustle and Flow soundtrack? Unlike hits like You and Me.
Yeah.
People just listened to it because it was around and, the commercials, and they watched TV and probably just, it was catchy to them.
Yeah, but they're not going to go back and listen to, Still Get My Dick Sucked by the Hoe That Love to Fuck.
I mean, I don't know. I think at this point they probably won't. Not surprised. I mean, we know that Baltimore is very distinct anyway, and surprisingly enough, people went back and listened to it. But here, I mean, in Baltimore at least, but maybe it was either they just went back and listened to it, or we were just so behind that it was just new to them.
Oh man, that's crazy.
Yeah, but thinking about Snoop Dogg and how he's been coming out with, like, he's been doing like an album a year, right? Ever since like 2012, 2013, right?
Yeah, it seems like it.
And then he still has, the sequel to the Funk album.
Yeah, Snoopzilla or whatever.
Yeah. And there are other people who are doing this. You know how we have Ghostface, who is also coming out with a whole bunch of albums at a very high value. And I don't really know what to think about it. I mean, because between, we know that he has the sequel of 12 Reasons to Die coming out. He told me the other day that he's working on Supreme Clientele 2. What was it? Return Cream, the Cream Chronicles.
I think it's called Blue and Gold, the Blue and Gold era, or something like that. Something about blue and gold and maybe some cream.
Okay, well, I'm surprised they didn't do the Black era or some shit like that. But yeah, man, all these albums. But I think what's interesting about these Ghostface albums is that all of them have been with some type of band who've been doing this lush live instrumentation.
Yeah. And
I'm wondering if these are just these songs are rather old. He's done them years ago, or is he like just staying in the studio and just knocking them all out?
I mean, at least with the 12 Reasons to Die, I think that in particular, he probably just knocked it all out because that followed the story. As a matter of fact, the one that came out after that followed the story too, because Cool G Rap and AZ were like part of the story, and so they were on a lot of the songs. So I think he's just in there knocking them out.
Okay, well, yeah, that was the one before this last one, because we're on the Bad Not Good one, and that was the one before this one.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that maybe all these albums fit together story-wise, because they all kind of sound similar to a certain extent.
I mean, maybe it's just his voice deteriorating or something, but I don't know. Like, there used to be a point in my life when a Ghostface album was a highlight,
Yeah.
And I would wait for years and years to get this Ghostface album, and there was a point in my life when I had actually had physical copies of every Ghostface album. But, it's 2015 right now. That's what I got to say.
Yeah, I mean,
he's still in my top 5 or whatever, but, after he did that Wizard of Poetry, it's like, I was waiting for another one of those.
Oh, that's right, yeah, he did say I forgot all about that. He said he wasn't going to curse no more. He a grown man and all this and that. He has kids, and now he's talking about pimping bitches, and he has to see bamboo around the way. Did you listen to the Bad Not Good one yet?
I did listen to some of it a little bit more, and I do like it a lot better than the other ones. Surprisingly, I genuinely like it. I think I could probably get it. I'm still on the fence about it, but I know it's at least 3.5. I'm not entirely sure about 4 though. But because it's always good to see Ghostface and MF Doom together. But I see. Oh yeah, that's actually supposed to come out too.
Yeah. And I was going to bring that up too. That so he's coming out with all these albums. Maybe the MF Doom thing will finally be finished.
Yeah, I think he did say something in an interview about how they're supposed to come out soon. So, right now we have Ghostface and MF Doom that's supposed to come out. We have Supreme Clientele 2, which he said is 80-90% done, and it has been for like 4 years. And we have the 12 Reasons to Die Part 2, which is probably going to come out with some type of comic book and stuff. But
yeah, I think it is.
Like go ahead.
I think it is.
Yeah, it seems to me like he's trying to capitalize off Adrian Young, you know, being that he just came out with that Prime album with DJ Premier and Royce, and they're supposed to be working on Prime too, actually. And Adrian Young is supposed to be making some music just for that, for DJ Premier to sample. And so yeah, Ghostface, he got a lot going on. I wouldn't be surprised if he tried to turn 12 Reasons to Die into like a cartoon or some type of Adult Swim movie or something like that.
I mean, yeah, but it's well, come to think about it, if you think about another, because you know we've talked about Ghostface's his voice and how it's kind of just changed.
Yeah.
You know, another person who has done that is MF Doom. His voice is not the same. It is totally different, and it's kind of like the same as Ghostface in a way that they went from these distinct voices. You know, MF Doom with the monotone voice, and Ghostface with I guess just that kind of, I guess, I don't know, kind of like a smooth voice that had swag in it or whatever like that.
Yeah.
And they both turn to these kind of groggy, dusty type of voices. They sound like they sound like they're just going to just die any minute or something like that. I will say that it seems like MF Doom, his voice has gotten a bit more better though. It's not as like all over the place as it once was.
I mean, hopefully Ghostface will, you know, return to form as well, you know, lyrically and voice-wise. Because I think one of the Ghostface problems with these albums is, you know, adhering to a story so strictly, you know, it sometimes lyrically, to get your point across and move to the next plot point in the story, you know, you're going to sacrifice some lyrical dexterity or whatever. And I think that is one of my big problems with a lot of these albums that he's been doing. And I guess that's kind of why I like the Bad Not Good one, because he's not trying to stick to a storyline.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, if you think about it, though, has there really been that one hip-hop album that's really adhered to the entire story?
Good Kid, Mad City.
Oh, maybe that's why I don't like it.
I mean, you got Good Kid, Mad City, and of course you have these Ghostface albums. I guess Sticky Fingers album, but that kind of trailed off, and you know.
Wasn't Mr. Chinx album, wasn't that supposed to be a story?
I don't know. I've never listened to Mr. Chinx album. I love the Lost Boys. You know, I'm an avid Queens hip hop fan. I guess that's why. I guess that's another reason why. You know, I have an affinity for like Chinx and Riot Squad, because it's all out of Queens and all that. Mm-hmm. But a Mr. Cheeks solo album is not something I'll ever listen to. Not to say that I won't one day, because I did like that one song that he had, Lights, Camera, Action or whatever, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, so much for that.
I'm trying to think of an album that stuck to a storyline. There's 88 Keys.
Okay, yeah, I was going to mention him. Well, see, the thing about the 88 Keys album is that, I mean, it does, but I think it's a bit different, because when I think of a hip-hop album that has a story, I don't expect to hear a whole bunch of neo-soul on it. So of course he can stick to the story pretty much, because he's really only on like 4 or 5 songs.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's how could we forget one of the greatest, the architect of this whole story hip hop album thing?
Biggie?
You know who I have to say right now.
Probably Biggie or RZA.
Nah. Later. The album that you don't like that I played the mess out of.
Okay, we got Good Kid, Mad City out the way.
Earlier, way earlier.
Damn.
2001.
Oh shit, Chronic.
No. That came out in 99. Oh man, I can't believe that you can't think of this right now.
What is it?
Masta Ace.
Oh man.
The disposable arts, man.
I mean, it kind of sticks to a story, but I feel like the songs that make up the story, they don't really directly move the story along. I think it's really just the feeling and the vibes from the actual songs that move the story along. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of similar with Good Kid, Mad City as well. And another album, I mean, you know, Masta Ace, he kind of like fell into that whole genre. And then when he did the whole EMC thing, that whole album was like a story.
You know, all of his albums are a story, though. I mean, you know, the Slaughterhouse.
Yeah.
This is a pretty damn good album, if I do say so myself.
I don't know. I don't think I've even listened to that album. I've been meaning to go back and listen to it. And it feels like everything points for me to listen to that album because Slaughterhouse is named after that, I believe, the group. And then, I think my first memory of Masta Ace was on that record with Eminem. With the sample from Soul Edge before it was called Soul Calibur.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was, I really didn't think that I would like it, but, I do surprisingly. Everything's on point for the most part.
That's what's up, because, I think one time I was in Metro 2 at Ricestown Road Plaza, and I got this old Masta Ace album. It was like a greatest hits of like his stuff from like the 80s. And I played the mess out of that after I heard Disposable Arts. And then once the internet came around, I started downloading a whole bunch of his tracks. And it was some album. What's it called? PTA, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles? I'm not sure if that was the name of the album or not, but...
Oh, Sitting on Chrome?
Yeah, Sitting on Chrome. And I heard most of that album, and I was just like, what the fuck is this shit? like, how do you go, like... Because my experience with Masta Ace is from, listen to him in the 2000s and listen to him in the 80s. So I'm like, oh, man, I know he must have some crazy shit in the 90s. And I hear just some crazy West Coast Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. I'm like, what? So I do have to revisit that because I've heard that album is actually good and conceptual and everything, so.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was two dope boys. Someone that did like a little thing about its anniversary.
Yeah, I remember them talking a bit about it on Juan Epstein. So, you know, I think Masta Ace is definitely one of the most underrated rappers ever.
Oh yeah, I think so too.
And,
I don't know.
You know, Eminem. You know, I think Eminem credits Masta Ace a lot for his style.
Seems like everyone they credit Cool G Rap and Masta Ace, and they just. I don't know, man. I feel like they get so mistreated. I mean, at least like you have, at least Necro, I'm hooked up with a Cool G Rap.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I gotta listen to the album. But you know, Masta Ace has MS.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but
I mean, he still tours though, all over the world.
Yeah, that story that he told about, you know, when he fell on stage, though, that shit was crazy.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is, you know, the other rappers from EMC, I think Punchline, Wordsworth, and Strickland, some of them have regular jobs.
Yeah, I remember that one Epstein when they were talking about that.
Yeah, and it just, like, always makes me think about, you know, just the varying ways that your music career can operate, to where, like, one of them is like a school teacher, and, you know, he goes on tour during summer break or whatever, so he'll go out with Masta Ace and all of them overseas. I'm like, damn, like, that's a crazy way to live.
Yeah. And isn't Wordsworth the teacher, or he works like a real job?
I think he's a teacher, and like Punchline might be like I don't know what he is, but probably something with New York City.
It's kind of like Curious. How Curious.
Who was that?
Do you remember the song Question Mark off MF Doom's first album?
Vaguely, yeah.
Okay, well, if you ever saw the video, he's a Hispanic dude on there. But you know, before that, he actually had a career, and I think he was under MC Search, and he had Constipated Monkey for like 95, 96, I think. And he had a song, I Walk Like a Duck. Yeah, Walk Like a Duck. Yeah, he had that song. Yeah, and so like right now, I mean, pretty much he doesn't really have much of a career, I guess you can say, but he just came out with the album not too long ago, and I think he was one of the first guests on the Cypher. And he does like some type of after school program or whatever like that, but he's trying to get back into, I guess getting back into touring or whatever like that. But he did say the psychedelics kind of messed him up. So I wonder what Joe Rogan had to say about that.
Yeah, I mean, I know they do say that the psychedelics, you know, apparently it makes you confront, you know, certain things sometimes, and you might not be ready for it. And it's, you know, whatever happens to you, they say you won't be the same person afterwards.
And see, and that's the thing, because I mean, I don't know if it's just me, but it seems like Joe Rogan, he just has like a perfect life. You never hear him talk about any kind of struggle in his life, and maybe this is why he can just freely take psychedelics like that.
You know, I thought the same thing.
I know at this point in my life, I'd fuck around and be like Brian Wilson right now if I really got deep in the acid or something like that.
I mean, I don't know. Like, if I did it, it would have to be like peyote or like ayahuasca, you know, something from an actual plant.
That's very true. I mean, yeah, but you know, you can die from a plant. So I think sometimes it doesn't really that won't really save everything just because it comes from a plant.
That's true, but I mean, I don't know, man. You gotta open your third eye and see the universe sometimes, man.
Hey, man, all the Wu-Tang, they did PCP mostly, and they all turned out fine.
Yeah, except that one guy.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
But, you know, that's one out of how many?
Man, I was thinking, man, we could probably. I don't know. I have an idea, but I don't want to take it. But I guess if they take it, hopefully they do it. They could do it better than us. it would be ill to do like an entire book on the Killer Bees. Do you know how hard that shit would be?
I mean, that shit, like that would be a deep undertaking in hip hop history, like a scholarly book.
Yeah. And then, like, you could make some type of, like, weird, if we get, like, super academic, something like that, some type of weird, crazy, technical-looking map that, like, a family tree that shows how they all connect. And then it kind of reminds me of how I remember that random song that RZA had that my brother always talks about, and I'm assuming it's around the days of when he was working on The Cure, and he talked about like the New York City subway. He kind of used it as like a metaphor for like the bloodstream or something like that.
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, doing some crazy shit like that or something.
It was crazy. That seemed like something Nas would do.
You mean like as a book or just like writing?
I mean, like just like, you know, on some song type stuff.
Oh yeah, that does sound like mad Illmatic-y.
Yeah. But I don't know, man. That Method Man interview, I don't know if you heard it. I think it was on Hot 97 when he was basically like, you know, all these people that's Killer Bees, they ain't really been around Wu-Tang as a group. I don't know them niggas, and it, you know, diluted the brand. But it was funny because they were like, you know, what about Killer Army? Oh yeah, they fam. What about Sons of Man? Oh yeah. And it's like, you know, how many people are you gonna go down before you be like, oh no, I don't mess with them.
Probably all those West Coast niggas.
Yeah. I mean, that's basically what he was saying, because, you know, they were, like, he was promoting the movie, and then they were doing the Wu-Tang album, and he was talking about how, like, this one dude chopping off his dick kind of overshadowed everything. Everything that the Wu-Tang was doing. And it's like, you know, they're barely Wu-Tang in Philly, so I've probably only been in the room with him, like, 3 times in my life.
But as we know, RZA really brought that West Coast shit out, because the West Coast people didn't start popping out until like 2000, around the same time we get Birth of a Prince, and you know he comes out with We Pop, which was really random, but yet kind of good at the same time. Yeah,
I mean, he was out there doing this Hollywood thing. But I mean, he started with the West Coast even before that on his first album with a Holocaust.
I mean, yeah, but see, we had a conversation like off air about this before, and how, you know, we were talking about the Black Knights and North Star, and how the Holocaust, the War Cloud, Robot Tank, he doesn't really fit.
Yeah.
He's really his own person.
Yeah, I mean, he's like a Wu-Tang version of A$AP Rock.
Yeah, he is in a way. And, you know, because even, that was the only, actually you have a point there, because he had Razzcast on it too, which I always forget. Okay, that's right. And then he had his part from the Wake Up Show anthem that Tech made.
Yeah.
God damn, I'm just realizing this. I think that's it though, but Wu-Tang, you know, Killer Bee wise, he had His Lord, he was nice. His Lord was nice as shit. I don't know. What else do you have on there? Jamie Sumner probably.
She was from West Coast?
No, I don't think so. But maybe she was. You know, supposedly they have a child together.
Oh yeah. You know, RZA, he's like a modern day Elijah Muhammad.
Yeah, man, he has 7, 8 children?
Something like that.
wonder, this wanted to ask you. Did you know that The Man with the Iron Fist 2 is out on Netflix?
I did not know that. I still haven't seen the first one.
Okay, well, so I was trying to sit down and even try to watch something on Netflix, and of course, it pops up in my thing, on my list of things I may like, and I couldn't believe it because I would think that me of all people I would probably know this, but I said it's probably some made straight to DVD type shit, and it is. I guess the first one
on theaters.
It was supposed to, but I guess the first one it barely broke even, so I guess they said no, fuck that. But also the first one it was directed by Eli Roth, or Eli Roth gave like a lot of backing for it, and originally it was like a whole different type of person for the second one, so it's probably why they're getting type of Hollywood backing. I'm assuming. I think pretty much the same people are in it though. I don't think Russell Crowe and what's her name, Lucy Liu. I don't think she's in it though. But I may watch it just because it's a RZA movie. But the first one sucked ass though. The only good part about it was that it had Gordon Liu in it.
I gotta get back into my kung fu movies. I think the last one I watched was Ip Man 2.
I was right in there. Was that because of our cousin?
Actually, no. I think I saw it with my sister like years ago. Or maybe she was talking about it, and then I saw it with our cousin. But yeah, like that was a good ass movie.
Yeah, I mean it was. It had a good storyline and good choreography, but I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just because how we were raised. I just like those Shaw Brothers films.
Oh yeah.
Just like those random ones that that we would get on VHS way back in the day at Lexington Market, right there by the door.
Yeah, I think when I saw Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, I just saw the cinematography of it and some of those fight scenes, like with the flower petals or the leaves falling and everything. I was like, man, like this is what a kung fu movie can be. I mean,
that's true, but it was too lush though, man. I need to see, I gotta see the real large jugs of wine and people just, gulping it down before they start fighting. Then they smash it against the wall and then they get this thing. I think that was the man with the kid with the golden arm.
Oh yeah, man, I forgot. I think my favorite one was Five Deadly Venoms.
Hello?
Yeah, you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I said my favorite one was Five Deadly Venoms.
Yeah, I think that'd probably be my favorite one too. But
and Super Ninjas.
Yeah, man, that was a bloody ass film.
Yeah, it was.
But we can't forget about the Jet Li ones though, like Tai Chi Master. You remember that one?
Oh yeah.
And Jet Li, he was on point back in the day actually with his kung fu movies.
I was kind of like surprised when people started hating on him. Like, when he started getting those big blockbusters and everything like that, and people talking about, he doesn't do his own stunts and this and that and whatever. I'm like, man, I was always a Jet Li fan.
Yeah. And then, like, he had, what was that movie when he came out with Hero?
I don't think I saw that one.
And actually, even after that, he came out with another, like, major Hollywood one. It was supposed to be, like, his final kung fu movie ever. And I'm not entirely sure if he stuck with that or not.
I mean, what else is he going to do? What
was what's that shit called? The Replacements, I think.
That football movie?
No, it's not. No, that must be something different then. No, it's like some type of thing that Tony, no, Sylvester Stallone, he came up with, and it has him and Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jet Li.
The Incredibles. I know what you're talking about though, but all of the dudes from, and they all old as shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so pretty much, I mean, he's doing that, and apparently this, it's pretty much turned into a franchise. I think they're on 3, and they picked up Arnold Schwarzenegger, I think after 2, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, I did hear that. He's like damn near 70.
I mean, yeah, it's creepy. And they should have Steven Seagal on there though. You think they will get him, but maybe he doesn't. It seems like he wouldn't like to be involved in some fuckery like that.
Yeah, I mean, from what I hear, he's helping train UFC fighters now, so.
That makes sense because it seems, I know I think on the past 2 Joe Rogan podcasts that I've listened to, his name's come up.
Yeah. So.
That's what's up.
Yeah, man, we didn't even talk about this UFC deal with Reebok.
I vaguely heard about it, but
crazy. But we can talk about that another time.
Yeah,
it's getting a little late. Should probably put a wrap on this one.
Cool.
So once again, everybody, channel10podcast.com, Twitter, SoundCloud, Facebook, iTunes, Stitcher, Instagram, everything, and all that. Any last words for the peoples?
No. Nope.
Alright, peace out.
Peace.
Feeling this here.
Yeah, son, you feel it, man. Word up, son. You gotta just do it, yo.
Yeah, man.
Yo, word up, man. It's a different channel, son. Word up, on, man. Word up, watch the channel, son. Different plane now, man.
It's all good.
Word up, all good, baby, in every hood, son. Word up, yo.
CNN, Network, Channel 10. It's on again. Street niggas is grown men. Ghostface, get in your face. Stay in place, yo, crime lace. Cast more beef than Scarface. CNN, Network, Channel 10. It's on again. Street niggas is grown men. Ghostface.